There are some imaginary stories written in the pages of books that made our childhood even more exciting. And one of those stories was Tarzan. Yeah, you've all heard the name before, right? But have you ever thought, did he really exist? The glorious Amazon jungle, home to some of the rarest and most mysterious creatures on Earth, had only one king. Some believed he was a powerful spirit. Others thought he was just a legend, because even though he looked human, there was no difference between him and the wild beasts of the jungle. Back in 1885, the world was buzzing with rumors that deep in Africa, massive diamond mines had been discovered. Nations started fighting each other for control, and in the end, it was Belgium's King Leopold who took over the entire region. But even with a jungle so huge and filled with riches, within just 5 years, the king fell deep into debt. So he sent one of his messengers, a man named Leon Rom, into that jungle to speak with the native tribes who had lived there for generations. These tribes lived in a place called Oman. When Leon arrived, the tribal chief came out, and without warning, his people attacked. Everyone was killed, except Leon. Why? Because Leon was clever, and the chief knew that this man hadn't come here just for peace. He came for diamonds, and to get them, he would do anything. So the chief made him an offer. He said, "If you bring me something I want, I'll give you as many diamonds as you can carry." But what was that thing? That we'll find out later in the story. The scene now shifts to London, where we meet John, standing in front of Britain's Prime Minister. The Prime Minister reads out an invitation letter from the King of Belgium, inviting John to visit the Amazon jungle. You see, John Clayton is a descendant of the royal family, which is why everyone treats him with such respect. Suddenly, a man named William stands up from behind and calls him Tarzan. He says John should go, because he's the king of that jungle. But John flat out refuses. He says, "Don't call me Tarzan ever again. My name is John." The Prime Minister tries to convince him, saying that his family's property still exists out there, and if he goes, he might reclaim it. He also tells John that it's strange. Despite being in huge debt for years, the Belgian king still controls that massive jungle. John doesn't reply. He just quietly walks away. And then, the story takes us years back in time. We see a sea merchant traveling with his wife, but tragedy strikes. Their ship sinks during a storm, forcing them to take shelter on the jungle shore. They start living in a small treehouse, but that night, tragedy hits again. The wife gives birth to a baby boy and dies during childbirth. The man is shattered, left completely alone in the middle of the wilderness. One day, a group of wild gorillas attacks. They kill him instantly, but then something unexpected happens. A mother gorilla climbs up and finds the tiny baby. Her maternal instincts awaken. She protects the child, holds him close to her chest, and takes him as her own. Time passes. The baby grows up, learning to move, hunt, and survive like the other animals of the jungle. But danger always lurks, and whenever his life is in danger, that same mother gorilla protects him like her own. The story now jumps back to the present, where we see Maria, John's wife. She's at home, telling the children stories of the jungle. Suddenly, John walks in. He starts making the sounds of wild animals, one after another, perfectly. The children stare at him in awe. Those sounds weren't learned. They were born in his blood. Yes, he's the king of the Amazon jungle, Tarzan, the man once raised by a mother gorilla. How he came to London isn't told yet, but deep inside, he still longs for the home he left behind, the jungle that raised him. That's why he finally decides to go back. He tells Maria, "I'm going to the jungle." Maria insists, "Then I'm going with you." John refuses, afraid something bad might happen, but she won't take no for an answer. At last, he agrees, and that night, John's face shows a silent storm. He knows tomorrow will change everything again. The next morning, they set out on their journey. Step by step, they move deeper into the forest. Strange birds, wild animals, rare plants, things no one in the civilized world has ever seen. At one point, a pride of lionesses appears. Maria and William freeze in fear, thinking they'll be torn apart. But instead, the lionesses walk up and hug John, like old friends meeting after years. And why not? John had once been part of their world. Soon, they reach a familiar tribal village. This is the same place where Maria's father once lived and taught the natives about the outside world, about kindness, learning, and humanity. Maria spent her childhood here. Now, when the villagers see her return with John, they welcome them with open arms. For them, their lost friends have come home again. Meanwhile, far away, Leon Rom visits a bank manager. He places a sparkling diamond on the desk and says, "Soon, I'll have plenty more like this, because I'm about to hand Tarzan over to Mbonga." The banker looks uneasy. He knows this is blood money. Night falls. The village comes alive with drums and laughter. People sit together, sharing stories of old times. Maria smiles and tells them that long ago, When John lived here, the tribe said there was no difference between him and the spirits of the jungle. He was faster than any beast, sharper than any hunter. That's what made him the king of the jungle. Someone asks how she and John first met, and the story flashes back 12 years. We see a young Tarzan swinging through the treetops with his gorilla friends. Suddenly, wild animals attack a girl. Without a thought, Tarzan dives in, fighting them off with his bare hands. For the first time, he sees another human, a girl, and he's mesmerized. That girl was Maria, and from that moment, their love story began. John's eyes soften with those memories, but that peaceful night is about to end. Out of nowhere, Leon Rom and his soldiers storm the village. Gunshots echo through the air. Chaos, fire, screams. The attackers capture everyone. Many are killed. Only William manages to escape. Tarzan and Maria are bound in chains. Leon smirks. His plan is working. He knows the tribal chief Mbonga wants Tarzan dead, and now he'll trade the jungle's king for the diamonds he was promised. But the villagers fight back. William, risking his life, helps John break free. In the struggle, Maria is taken away by Rom's men. William drags the wounded John to safety. Rom knows exactly what he's doing. He whispers to his men, "He'll come for her. That's what I want." He's laid the perfect trap. The next morning, John wakes up. He finds the tribal chief lying dead, and the entire village drowning in grief. That's when something inside him snaps. The wild fire that had once been buried under city life burns again. He looks at William and says firmly, "We have to fight back. This jungle belongs to us, not them." Without wasting a second, he gathers the strongest men and leads them into the forest. The journey is dangerous. Steep cliffs, thick fog, and the sounds of predators all around. John runs through the trees like he was born for it, jumping from one branch to another, gliding above rivers, his movements fierce and fluid. Finally, he reaches a moving train cutting through the jungle. He leaps down and crashes onto it, the same train carrying enslaved villagers, sent to Belgium to build railway tracks under the king's cruel orders. John bursts into the carriage and frees the captives. He knocks out the soldiers one by one. When he corners the train engineer, the terrified man says, "The king is building new forts and palaces. He's spending a fortune. He wants the entire Amazon Valley under his control. He'll destroy every tribe that stands in his way." Hearing this, John's rage deepens. He growls, "Stop this train right here. Send these people home, or I swear your death will be worse than your nightmares." The man obeys immediately. Meanwhile, miles away, Leon Rom sits in a tent, eating with Maria and the warlord Mbonga. Maria is forced to sit there, her eyes full of disgust. Mbonga asks Rom, "Why does Tarzan hate me so much? What did he ever do to him?" Rom smirks and says, "It's not hate. It's revenge. During a battle long ago, Tarzan killed your son. Mbonga's face hardens. Since that day, he has dreamed of killing Tarzan with his own hands. But Rom knows something Mbonga doesn't. He's using him. He plans to hand Tarzan over, take the diamonds, and escape as the richest man alive." John and William travel deeper into the jungle, toward the place where his old family still lives, the gorillas. But the reunion is not warm. As soon as John steps near them, the massive leader gorilla, once his closest friend, charges. They crash into each other in a brutal fight. Punches, roars, chaos. John tries to talk, but the beast won't listen. Finally, John stops fighting and drops to his knees, a gesture of surrender. The gorilla pauses, then steps back, because in their code, surrender means respect. That night, William tends to John's wounds. The air fills with deep, rumbling sounds, and suddenly, out from the shadows, emerges a herd of elephants. William is terrified, but John smiles. These are his oldest friends. He walks up to one, places his hand on its trunk. The giant lowers its head in affection. Tears fill William's eyes. For the first time, he understands. True strength isn't in fear or violence, it's in love. For the first time, he understands. True strength isn't in fear or violence, it's in love. Back at Rom's camp, Maria whispers to one of the native guards in his language, "Run, find him, tell Tarzan where I am." The man nods and sneaks away, but Rom catches him. He orders the guard drowned in the river as punishment. Maria leaps in after him, swimming desperately. Rom's men panic and chase, but she's faster, her will to survive stronger than their hate. She reaches the shore, breathless, and finds her native ally waiting. "Go," she says. "Bring him back before it's too late." The man disappears into the forest. Not long after, Rom's men attack again, this time hunting gorillas. Gunshots echo through the jungle. The roars of dying beasts shake the earth. Far away, John hears the sound. He knows his family is under attack. Without hesitation, he dives off the cliff, swinging through the vines with blinding speed. Within moments, he reaches the battlefield. The scene freezes his heart. His gorilla brothers lie dead. He kneels beside them, trembling, and whispers, "I promise, this time, I'll finish it." The king of the jungle is back. Poor John gathers his allies, the remaining villagers, William, and the animals of the wild. He calls out with a roar that shakes the sky. The message is clear. War has begun. From the depths of the jungle, elephants thunder, lions roar, and buffaloes stampede in unity. Nature itself has chosen its side. They charge toward the fortress, where Ram and Mbonga wait. The sky fills with dust. The ground trembles, and chaos erupts. Cages break open, slaves are freed, soldiers run in panic. John fights like a storm, fearless, unstoppable. He smashes through walls, climbs ships, and rescues Maria hanging high from a hook. He unties her, lifts her in his arms, and passes her to William for safety. Then, he turns toward Rome, his final enemy. Ram attacks with fury, wrapping a rope around John's neck. But Tarzan flips the noose and throws Ram into the river. Moments later, the water churns red. Crocodiles have claimed their meal. The banker, seeing the fortress destroyed, turns back halfway, terrified. He knows what awaits him, not diamonds, but death. Inside, Tarzan finally faces Mbonga. Mbonga glares, ready to kill. But John says calmly, "The creature your son killed was my mother." Mbonga freezes. The truth crushes him. The revenge he carried all these years was built on tragedy. Both men have lost everything to hate. But before peace can settle, chaos outside grows louder. Tarzan steps out, lifts his head, and lets out a thunderous roar. The sound echoes through the valley. The jungle answers. Elephants tear through walls. Buffaloes charge. The fortress falls apart under nature's wrath. The jungle takes back what was stolen. Freedom once again belongs to its people. When the battle ends, peace returns. The tribes reclaim their home, united and stronger than ever. They understand now, unity is the real power that wins freedom. Maria embraces John. They finally have each other again. Months later, we see them smiling, with a baby girl in Maria's arms. Her name is Anna, the next guardian of the jungle. Meanwhile, William returns to London. He exposes the king of Belgium's crimes, how he enslaved the tribes and looted their land. The truth shocks the world. Nations unite and imprison the corrupt king. Back in Congo, the jungle breathes again. The animals roam free. The people live in peace. And in the middle of it all, stands Tarzan, no longer just a legend, but a bridge between man and nature. And that's how this epic story ends. A story that teaches us that real power lies not in control, but in connection. Because in the heart of the jungle, one man became more than human. He became hope itself. If you liked this story, smash that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more movie tales told with passion and power. Until next time, stay wild.